The original building opened in July of '07 at a rental property. It was an old laundromat that we remodeled and made into a museum. That was in '07, and then 3 years ago we opened this month in October. It'll be 3 years here at the new building. So yeah, we're the only one in Michigan. We're the only museum in the United States that is open 7 days a week, 9 to 5 daily. The other ones in Wisconsin are only open 4 to 5 days a week. But with our volunteer staff we're able to keep it open 7 days a week. In the northern tier states, of course, everybody snowmobiled back in the 70s, and that's what we have here is a lot of the early 70s, early 60s, some of the 50s. We're about the snowmobile history. Like I said, a lot of people snowmobiled in the 70s and they don't snowmobile anymore, but they relate to what we have here about the history of snowmobiling. Back in the 70s when it was the heyday, everybody was making a snowmobile. Everybody had 2 or 3, each family had 2 or 3 snowmobiles. Now, of course, not every family has 2 or 3 snowmobiles. The cost has gone up. A lot of other activities for kids to do. The winters have gotten shorter. The price of fuel was up. The price of fuel now is back down, which really helps. It's coming back, but not like the heyday in the 70s and 80s. We do, and that's what we're about. I told you about the museums in Wisconsin. They're the Hall of Fame museums. They're more into the race-orientated sleds. Where we're about the history of snowmobiling. We have, in 1936 Westendorf that there was only 1 made. We've got Timberwolf that there's only 8 made. We've got a Bearcat here that's only 13 made. We have a Boss Cat that there was only 9 sold. We have the history. We have one made in Grand Rapids. It was called Stanaback. Ken Stanaback made it. He only made 2 machines. We have the one that's left here. So we're about the history of how they actually started from snowshoes or skis, toboggans, to the motorized. The first snowmobiles weren't called snowmobiles. They were called power toboggans, autoboggans. That's what they were actually called. We've kind of nicknamed this the pizza oven. Everybody sees it and thinks it's a pizza oven, but it's really a snowmobile. It was built in 1936 by Westendorf was the guy's last name. He was a machinist at the Wicks Machine Company in Bay City, and he wanted to get further out into Saginaw River and Saginaw Bay fishing. So this is what he came up with. It's got a little 1.5 horse Briggs and Stratton motor on it. You tighten up with this handle here, you tighten the belt, and that engaged it. And then you straddled it, and you put your feet on these pegs, and these pegs push this wheel down in the back, and the wheel's got a chain on it, and that pushed you along on the ice. It wasn't any good in the snow. It was strictly for the ice. You see the chain on the belt, or on the truck, and that propelled you along. This is one that came from Bombardier, made in Sweden. Here's one here. I can't pronounce it, but it was made in Russia, and you can tell it looks like a Skidoo Bombardier, but it was made in Russia in 1985. And during the Cold War, it says in the write-up about it, they didn't care about copyrights because it definitely looks like a Skidoo Alpine. But my dad bought it at a garage sale for $5. We had no idea what it was. And then we finally did the research, the history part of it again, and found out that it was made in the inland is the stone quarry by Gulliver. And the guy was a machinist. And he built this one machine and he built 4 other ones also. Used it for pulling logs out of the woods. We finally found out who made it. That's part of the uniqueness, or I like about collecting, is the story behind it, where it came from, who built it, and we finally found that out. This may look like a normal Panther. Everybody remembers the Arctic Cat Panthers, but this was one of 21. It was built in 1966. It was a prototype. We're putting an addition on because all the snowmobiles we have. We were just gifted 33 snowmobiles from Valcourt, Quebec, where Bombardier's made. It was the Bombardier Museum. They chose this museum to give the 33 sleds to. It's a real pat on our back that they chose this museum. We're very proud of that, and yeah, I'm bragging about it. They like we're about the history of snowmobiling, and that we're also ranked in Snowgoer magazine top museum with the Snowgoer magazine. She was impressed with that also. So I guess those are the several different reasons, but yeah, we're very proud.
At Snowmobile Derbies is where the snowmobile machine really comes into its own. And here is Dr. Tom Doyle of Eagle River, who is one of the officials responsible for putting together this particular derby.